For decades, this file remained buried inside local police archives. There were no press conferences, no official conclusions, no final answers, only a name, and a disappearance that was never explained. This is not a story meant to entertain. It is a record of events that were documented and then quietly forgotten. This is the file of a man who walked out of his own house and was never seen again. The year was 1978. The place was a quiet suburban neighborhood in upstate New York, the kind of town where routines mattered and strangers stood out. At that time, life moved slower. There were no security cameras on street corners, no cell phones, no digital trails. If someone disappeared, the system often noticed too late. The man described in this file was 52 years old, married, 2 adult children, employed as a factory supervisor for over 20 years. By all official accounts, he lived a predictable life. He woke up early, ate the same breakfast every morning, left the house at the same time. Neighbors later described him as quiet, polite, and reserved. Not the kind of person who attracted attention. Not the kind of person who disappeared. According to his wife, the morning of October 14th began like any other. There was no argument, no unusual behavior, no indication that anything was wrong. At approximately 6:42 a.m., he put on his coat and stepped outside. He told her he would be back in 10 minutes. He did not take his car. He did not take his wallet. He did not take any form of identification. The door closed behind him. That was the last confirmed moment he was seen by someone who knew him. At first, no one was concerned. Stepping outside briefly was part of his routine. Neighbors often walked early in the morning. 10 minutes passed, then 20. By the time an hour had gone by, concern began to replace routine. By midday, it became clear that something was wrong. Police were notified later that afternoon. Officers arrived and found no signs of forced entry, no disturbed ground, no evidence of a struggle. The house was exactly as it had been left. The neighborhood was canvassed. No one reported hearing an argument. No one saw an unfamiliar vehicle. No one noticed anything out of place. In the first 24 hours, the investigation had no direction. Search efforts began the following day. Local woods were checked. Nearby roads were searched. Nothing was found. No clothing. No personal belongings. No trace. Days turned into weeks. The case slowly lost urgency. At the time, disappearances without immediate evidence were often classified as voluntary. The file reflects this shift. Notes become shorter. Updates become infrequent. By early 1979, active investigation had largely stopped. Years later, during a routine review of archived materials, an overlooked document surfaced. It was a supplemental report, never released to the public. The document referenced a phone call. A call placed from a public phone booth, less than 1 mile from the man's home. The call occurred on the same morning he disappeared. The duration was 47 seconds. There was no recording. The recipient was never identified. The report does not explain why this information was excluded from the official timeline. It does not explain why the phone booth was not treated as a key location. It simply exists, filed, unexplained. Several questions remain unanswered. Why did he leave without identification? Why did he choose to walk instead of drive? Who was the phone call intended for? And perhaps most importantly, why was this detail never shared with the family? In 1986, the case was officially closed. The cause was listed as voluntary disappearance. No supporting evidence was provided. No body was ever recovered. No arrests were made. No explanation was offered. The file ends abruptly. No conclusion. No resolution. Just paperwork. Some files are closed because the truth is found. Others are closed because time runs out. This was not a story. This was a file.